Good evening, I'm DK Roster. Welcome back to the TTT News. We are taking a jaunt to Macoya, and this is to speak to the folks at Raintree Plant and Wellness Center. Now, Sean Samad is the HR and Communications Manager, and Sian Samad George is the Chief Operations Manager at the Raintree Plant and Wellness Center. Now, I'm not sure who I'm supposed to be asking first, but it feels as though it's real immediate in terms of like one moment you're hearing cars and traffic, and the next minute you're seeing salmon tree and just getting into a kind of zen zone. So what's the history of the center?
So the history of the center is we started off in this business, my family started off in this business as an interior-scape company, meaning providing plants for indoor premises, companies, and so forth inside of their spaces. The business was a combination of two businesses, one being part of Peter Richards, which is where this shop is located currently. So we bought over their interior-scape division several years ago. Fast forward to today, where we decided we wanted to get back into some of the retail sides of things. And so Peter Richards Landscaping decided to lease the space to us. And so we're back here doing not only selling plants, but also trying to use the space to do activities that align to wellness.
And those activities are some of the things that I want to talk about. But give me some of the offerings, please, Sian, in terms of, okay, well, we're going to Raintree Plant and Wellness Center. But what are some of the things that we can do there? What are some of the things that we can get there?
So some of the offerings would be an introduction to Hatha Yoga, an introduction to Qigong and Tai Chi. We also had a class that taught some of our customers how to propagate plants and understanding the soil that the plants are in. And then we have some geared activities this weekend, which are kids craft classes where they're going to be painting their own pots and planting their own plants, painting rocks like ladybugs. Then we're going to have some storytelling, then clay class, and we're going to have dance classes as well. And we're going to culminate with our introductory sitting of the Raintree Tea House and Cafe. So it's also, the offerings are to encourage people to come to the space, to see how the space can be used, and also to provide an introduction to the vendors who would like to use space to have these classes going forward, and also for people to see the beauty of the space and to get an opportunity to step outside, because that's something that we think is really necessary at this time.
Definitely, people have been looking at walls and maintaining protocols and going a little mad inside. But with regard to the Raintree, and it feels as though when we say Raintree, we're talking about salmon specifically. What's the importance of that salmon tree to the motif? I see you have it on your logo as well, you have it in your name. What's the importance of that salmon tree?
So the salmon tree, there's actually one that was on the premises at the inception of Mr. Richards' landscaping company. Mr. Richards would have come probably 20, almost 30 years ago, and that tree would have been resident on the estate and continues to be here. The salmon tree also holds specific historical value to us as a culture and us as a people in Trinidad and Tobago. And coming back to these premises after 10, 11 years or so after having purchased the initial business and still seeing that salmon tree in all its glory, it was something to behold, and I think it's something that should be celebrated, that it has seen so many different people, different changes on the premises, and it's a nod to the past of the history, and also hopefully it's a way for us to move forward, you know, by utilizing all that this tree basically has to offer.
And with that in mind, Sean, I want to ask you though, so there's still plants that you all have on offer. What are some of those flowers that we can get? Because I saw coppers with lotus, I believe, I saw bougainvillea. What are some of those things that people can go and say, okay, well, I want some of this, I want some of that?
Well, we have a little bit of everything. Plants for indoors, for people who want to put plants inside their homes, for people who are gardening outside, who want to create, a lovely garden, a flowering garden. There are a lot of bougainvilleas flowering now because dry season is bougainvillea time, basically. So you'll see a lot of the bougainvilleas on here flowering, but we have quite a variety of plants available for people.
And do you get it at different stages? Because some people might say, okay, well, yes, ma'am, I know how to deal with it, so I could organize, I could take it from younger, and that might have a different price. Some people might want a plant that's a little robust because the thumb not that green. So do you help people in that way as well?
Yes, correct. So for the experienced gardeners, we have the very small plants that they can tend and bring to the size and shape that they want. And then we also have some full-grown plants for the people who are now kind of getting their green thumbs wet, as you mentioned. And we also do have accessories, pots, fertilizers, watering cans, etc., for people who are really into their gardening.
And let me know if I'm being ambitious, because I saw one of the activities that is happening tomorrow, please God, and the posters are fabulous. And I'll also ask about places that people can go to see those offerings in terms of, I think, IG and Facebook. But in terms of working with clay, do people get to reach the level of some of the things that we saw inside? Because I think they were plant pots, but they look really kind of ornate. Those kind of things, when you see them, you say, but I could sit down and meditate a little bit.
So the clay class will really be an introduction. The moderator for the clay class is quite experienced in using clay, but the current facilities do not offer a kiln where you'd be able to bake your clay. So the class that will be offered will be to get people engaged in using clay, to see the ways in which you can get in touch with nature and make use of the clay. And so it's not going to be as ornate as we would like it to be, but we hope it will be memorable, and it is a nice way for people to at least be able to get to experience it in an outdoor environment, that otherwise they may not have been able to.
Well, I take that and appreciate it, because it's one thing to start off hot and sweaty and then you boil down like Baji. It's another thing to say, okay, well, we're starting here, but we're definitely seeing where it is we want to go, and we're able to implement those incremental steps to get to where it is we want to go. But in terms of getting to where we want to go, we take a short break. We come back speaking with Sian Samad George and Sean Samad about the Rain Tree Plant and Wellness Center. Stay with us. Welcome back. We are speaking about the Rain Tree Plant and Wellness Center with Sian Samad George and Sean Samad. Now, it seems as though this initiative is kind of getting off the ground. Correct me if I'm wrong, because it sounds as though there's a lot in place, but at the same time, this incarnation of this space is kind of new. Is that right? Am I right?
Yes, you are. The reason that it happened is because part of our interior scape business, the values by which we tried to do everything was to inject wellness, beauty, and inspiration in every activity that we had. And coming into the shop, we realized that there was a need for a lot of people to understand the different aspects of plants in your space, in your garden, in your home. And so that's where some of the different activities, why some of them were chosen, why they came about. So it is now getting off of the ground. And like we said, it's more to introduce the vendors to the space, introduce people to the vendors, and see how best it can work and how we can better provide the service to people to get the full benefits out of plants, both indoor and outdoor.
But since we highlighting, let's go all the way, call vendor name now, because we see some of these people. So let us know who it is we're interacting with from jump.
So we're going to have some wellness practitioners. We have Faye Patrick, who's going to be a a yoga instructor, introduction to Hatha yoga. We also have Sifu Raman Kabir. He is going to be doing an introduction to Tai Chi and Qigong. Past, we had Nicholas Penko, who is a healing practitioner, and he did an introduction to Qigong. Our clay class is going to be done with Gwyneth Frankson. In the kids craft is also Gwyneth, and in-house as well. We're going to be having kids storytelling with Brendan. Sean, you can help me pronounce his last name, Alexi. And we're also going to have Create Future Good doing some of the storytelling for us as well. And then we have our dance class, which is going to be done by none other than Sean Samad.
And I think, if I remember correctly, there was a nickname Samba. So I don't know if that goes in there.
It does. I don't think my mother thought of that when she named him, but it does fall in quite nicely.
Yeah, man, it's a perfect alliteration. But with regard, but let me bring in Sean, because I think some of the classes, you call them kids or for children. But does that mean that people or adults or the young at heart are excluded?
Definitely not, especially for the classes for children. We hope that their parents will accompany them, and just stick around with them and probably get involved. So we don't have any specific parameters for these classes. All are welcome.
All right, but I will say that there's at least a contribution. And so what is that? How do people register? Because there's a registration process. And take me through the logistics of that. Thank you.
Okay, so there is an online registration form where people can call in to register. Most of the classes are free. Only the classes with clay and craft, etc., have a small registration fee to offset the cost of the materials. But most of the other things like the yoga and the Tai Chi, etc., are free introductory classes. So yeah, mostly people can register on the form online, or they can call in. With regards to the tea service next week, that is by reservations only. So people will either be able to make reservations online or also call in to do that.
All right, now, when our cameraman visited the space yesterday, I think he was saying it was the first time that he had gotten so close to a woodpecker. And so I think we even have some footage of that. But is this part for the course? Do you have these sorts of visitors in that space? And what does that do for the energy of the space and the people's visiting?
Yeah, definitely. It is a very green space. And one of the common things that we hear from people visiting the space is that they couldn't possibly imagine that a space like this, a kind of retreat, was so close to the major arteries, to the bus route, the main road and the highway. It literally is, a stone's throw away from the highway. And yes, we do get all kinds of creatures. We have 2 resident cats that we don't own, but that they are here. There are lots of fish in the pond.
Yep, beautiful.
Yeah, it's a wild paradise.
And that makes me want to ask and continue on that line of speaking about energy. How important is it, or should I ask for a definition and the significance of the fact that there is a grounding space?
So definitely energy is key. And plants, as we know, really bring a different kind of energy to any given space. So the fact that this is a business selling plants off the bat is bringing a certain kind of healing, positive energy to people who visit. The grounding space is a technique and a tradition where it's a space that encourages people to take off their shoes, because our shoes act as a material barrier between us and the earth. And there is energy resident in the earth, connected to the earth, that we can't experience if we just take off our shoes and walk barefoot. I know that kind of goes contrary to things that many of our parents and grandparents told us, but it's an important activity to promote healing and reconnection to the planet.
And that would, I guess, fall straight in line with regard to the practices of Qigong and yoga, I believe, Hatha yoga. So that breath and connection to the ground and the elements in terms of helping us to find a little space, a little sanctuary, a little oasis which is what we're seeing with regard to some of those birds and visitors that you all have in your space on a regular basis.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Look, but this Saturday coming is not the first set of events that you all have had, Sian. So what has some of the feedback been like for people who have passed through the space, taking part in the activities?
So far, the feedback has been great. People would like to know when things are going to be permanent, how soon they can sign up on a regular basis to come into this space. And no, we started at the beginning of March when we launched the name, the new brand, Raintree Plant and Wellness Center. That's when we began our activities to introduce the full space to our customers and to the public at large. Because up until then, our customers would have only seen the front of the shop and that front area. But now they're welcome to go to the back where the salmon trays, and we've prepped it to know that friends and family, customers, clients alike can take part in and make use of the space. So far, most of the people who took part in the first 2 weeks have signed up for the classes in the last 2 weeks. Hopefully, we do have some new people coming in as well as they see the advertisements and as we have the press release out as well. But I think it's something that people honestly can't get enough of, especially in this time of COVID, where you have a space where you're comfortable and you can be outside.
And speaking about comfortable, what kind of attire do people wear? This is including the masks, I'm sure. And also, what kind of payment methods are we thinking about?
Okay, so basically it's come as you are. Masks, yes, we do sanitize when you come into this space. For the grounding, of course, you have to remove your shoes, but everyone observes regular COVID protocols, and payment methods are all the payment methods. We take cash, cards, we have links as well, to possibly even take check. And I sometimes joke and say I could take a day's work as well, you know, if people really want to take part and they don't have the funds. But I mean, most of the classes are free. The only things that are paid, like we said, was the clay and the kids craft, and that was just to offset the actual cost of the material. But the takeaway from the classes, priceless.
All right, and with that, I want to ask you just one question before I get contact information from Sean. Is there still space for other vendors? And if so, what kind of individuals or product services are you looking for?
Yes, there will always be space. Like I said, it was also a way for us to interact with, get to know the vendors, and for them to get to know the space. The types of products that we are looking for, the types of vendors we are looking for are local, first of all. Vendors whose line of work and their products align with wellness, beauty, and inspiration. So anything that is eco-centric, anything that is along the lines of energy, of healing, of people being able to take part in the class and then follow through on their own at home, or want to do more of it for their better wellness and health, and to promote, you know, prosperity of being. Those are the types of vendors that we are interested in.
All right, thank you. And Sean, we have 30 seconds. We're asking for contact info, please.
Sure. You can reach us via telephone at 236-3277 or via email. But the best way, I guess, if you have questions or concerns, is via telephone, which is, again, 236-3277. We're also on Instagram and Facebook, where you can get as much information as possible about the event. You can also reach us via WhatsApp at that number, 236-3277.
All right, so we want to thank you very much, Sean and Sian, for doing what you do and starting this initiative. And best of luck and strength to you. And on behalf of the entire news team, I'm DK Ronster. Thank you for joining us. Have a good night.